my name is Natalie Levin. I'm the philanthropy manager at the Youth Adventure Trust, a youth development charity working with young people in Wiltshire and Somerset. So I actually joined the Bright Spot membership back in COVID. Um, so I'd initially joined thinking it might just be for a few months. At the time, of course, a lot of the usual ways and opportunities for fundraisers to get together and meet and learn from each other had quite simply disappeared. So that was what inspired me to join the membership. And yeah, what turned out to be for a few months has been 6 years.
Different people use the membership for different things, but what are the kinds of things that you use it for?
I particularly like the live sessions. I find it really useful to hear directly from people, and sort of if I've got it scheduled in my diary, I'm much more likely to attend. I know where I've been sent recordings from other webinars and bits and pieces. It feels much harder to then catch up, but then that's just probably how I work. I know other fundraisers who really appreciate the opportunity to reflect back and catch up on the recordings, but I do my
Hmm.
best to go to the live sessions. I find, firstly, the sense of community that you get. There's other fundraisers there, often with similar challenges or difficulties that you can learn from and support each other. But having that opportunity to be able to ask questions from the experts or the other fundraisers in the sessions, really valuable that I can then um, use for my own to use to problem solve my own challenges or perhaps spark ideas off and think, actually, maybe we could do this a little bit differently or start something new as well. So,
Truth is, you're ever so busy and you need to be skillful at a broad range of things. So, what are some of the themes that you particularly find useful?
so my role, although my job title would suggest I'm focused on major donors, I am, but actually I cover quite a lot of other areas of fundraising as well. So things like regular giving, community fundraising. I've looked after some of the digital marketing and donor communications as well. So I found it particularly valuable that having that breadth of all those different subjects in the membership has been really useful. So whatever um, problem or project that I want to work on, more often than not, I find there's something within the membership in the Bright Spot Club to be able to go back to and pick up on and help me solve that particular project that I'm working on.
And I've noticed you're very good at proactively making use of the experts' time. So quite often, be it legacy fundraising or individual giving or whatever it might be, often they do a workshop or a webinar, but almost always there's time for Q&A. And I've noticed you're pretty proactive in making sure if you've got a question, you do ask it.
Yeah, I think, I'm paying for this membership. I want to get the maximum value out from it. And so when I booked myself onto a session, I will usually take a few minutes, maybe the week before or a few days before to think about, okay, what are they going to be sharing? Is there a topic or a problem that they might be able to help me with specifically? Sometimes there isn't, and I will come along to a session anyway to hear maybe updates, or maybe there's something that I can help share
Mm.
and support some of the other fundraisers in the club with what I've experienced myself.
Yeah, and just on that, I have noticed you are really, really good for the club in almost always you proactively offer something either within the chat or indeed kind of you open your microphone and share your idea or your take on any given thing. So first of all, I want to acknowledge that because it's great for all of us when you're doing that, and the other more experienced members who are doing that a lot. But I also wonder if that also is um, good for your confidence and sense of connection when you're doing that.
Yeah, I think that's important. So I work from home as a fundraiser. We all do across the whole of the charity. So actually being able to interact with other fundraisers is important to me. And I want to be able to give and help wherever I can because I have really appreciated the help that I've received from Bright Spot, from the other members, as well as from, other fundraisers across the wider sector as well. So it's kind of trying to pay it forward, I guess, a little bit,
Yeah.
in anticipation of potentially needing it at some point needing that help at some point later.
Yeah, and I love the fact that is really an enjoyable and valuable element where it's genuinely a club together rather than some people giving and some people receiving. Um, I don't know if there's certain examples that spring to mind over the last few years of certain things you're really proud of progress you've made in certain areas, and at some point, at some level, that's been helped or encouraged by the access to these sessions or particular themes or experts.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think so. I've been with the Youth Venture Trust since 2019, and so just before COVID, so not long before for joining the Bright Spot membership. And one of the things that I suppose I've been struggling with is about getting our visitors, our supporters, to come and visit the program. Like a lot of charities, we know that the best way to inspire our donors is to get them along to see the work in progress. But getting our supporters along to program visits was always a challenge. They're busy, the holidays are when they're get in the way, and getting to our camps themselves isn't always straightforward. So I've been kind of thinking about this problem, this challenge about how to, if I can't get donors to camp, how can I bring a bit of camp to them and connect them more closely with not only the work, but the staff who are at the coalface, who are supporting the
Mm.
young people that we work with. So it was actually one of the in one of the early sessions since joining the membership, I was inspired by one of the calls that you had about kind of online meetings with donors. And so we launched back in towards the end of 2020 our what we call fireside coffees. So they're online meetings usually on a platform like this, to be able to connect our donors. They can come along, 45 minutes maximum, people are busy, and hear directly from one of my colleagues in the program team and our CEO, who's there to give a quick update on what we been doing, as well, of course, give those supporters the opportunity to ask questions. Um, and of course, in that year as well, we
Mm.
had to massively adapt how we work, as like many other charities. And online meetings, people were much more comfortable with them, literally overnight.
Mm.
So I think actually, if COVID hadn't happened, that would have been a harder sell to
Mm.
launch these meetings without it. So, yeah, we had our first session, and within 5 minutes of the first fireside coffee finishing, I had an email from one of my donors telling me that he was going to donate £10,000. And it was literally in our bank account half an hour later.
Wow.
Um, I would love to say that every fireside coffee has generated a
Sure.
£10,000 gift after that, but that was definitely almost a seal of approval that yes, this
Mm.
this format could really work to inspire people to make gifts or continue
Mhm.
their support. So they've really become quite a valuable stewardship tool for us.
Mm.
Donors, when they respond afterwards or during the meeting, consistently tell us how much they enjoy the sessions, hearing from staff, asking questions that perhaps following up on a report that they might have had. It's a different way of them being able to access the information and getting a deeper understanding of what we're doing. It's very easy for us as charities to kind of get bogged down in the lingo, perhaps sometimes, even though we really shouldn't.
Mm.
But what might be obvious to us may not be quite so obvious to a supporter. So
Mm.
that's their opportunity to get that clarification or that understanding of what we're doing. Um, we initially started it for our major donors, but actually
Mhm.
quickly expanded it to our trusts and foundations and corporate supporters. Um, Maddeningly for me, actually more of those other supporters attend than my major donors, but it's become a really regular part of how we build and strengthen those relationships. And we know additional gifts or uplifts to get gifts come in as a result of those that stewardship tool that we can offer to our supporters.
Mm. Well, congratulations, Natalie, on first of all getting it started and then making that part of the strategy that continues to serve.
Yeah, it's been really helpful, and I guess in a more sorry, a less concrete way,
Mm.
generally, kind of the membership has really helped boost my confidence and give me new ideas for other ways to steward our supporters,
Mhm.
to the point where they're recommending us to their friends and family. We had a gift come in a couple of years ago where actually someone had recommended us to who is actually an anonymous donor. We don't know who the donor is. We know their philanthropic advisor is,
Mm.
and but that came through as a recommendation. So that's a £32,000 annual gift for 4 years as a result of that recommendation. I'm gutted. I can't even thank the person who recommended us. But having that consistent sounding board and community from the membership has helped to give me the confidence to ask better questions, get to understand our donors better, which all helps with that stewardship and building those long-term relationships to that point where they will recommend us to their friends.
Congratulations, Natalie. This is amazing to get to the point where you're, as a charity, known to be that good at helping supporters connect to the difference they're making that others are referring on. It is such a strong signal of how hard you're working. Um, Top line, do you have a sense of how you're doing in terms of one of your income streams, which is major donor fundraising, compared to the last year or two?
Yeah, we've looked at the figures, and our donor base is growing year on year, and we're keeping our donors that we are recruiting through word of mouth and other ways. And actually, last year our income was 40% higher from major gifts than the previous year. So it is an area still for growth for us. So still some pretty steep challenges to aim for. And I know the market's really challenging at the moment. So, but yeah, that's something I'm definitely pretty proud about. And it's it's having that sounding board and those ideas that have really
Hmm.
helped to help drive that growth in that income.
Hmm. Well, congratulations. That's no mean feat still in an atmosphere of, where many people in our supporters, especially I think for a smaller organization, people are worrying about whether they can afford to donate. So in that context, 40% growth is amazing. Um, so if so, people do know, I think some of my techniques, maybe through my breakfast club or through my podcast or a blog or something. But if they're listening to this and wondering whether to go to the next level and actually join the Bright Spot membership, what would you say?
I'd definitely say to consider joining and become a member. The value that I've got out from the monthly sessions, I could probably go to sessions most weeks. There's always something to learn and some new ideas. Maybe not able to implement them straight away, but there's definitely value from each of them. So I do recommend joining.
Well, I'm so pleased it's worked out for you, and I continue to enjoy our chats in many of those sessions when we show up for the live ones. Congratulations on all this progress you've been making, and thanks for making time to come and chat and share your insights, Natalie. Take care.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks.
Thanks, Natalie. Bye.